Hi guys, Darth Deuce here, back with another Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure review. Today, taking a look at a figure that I'm actually surprised kind of got before the end of the year, actually. We have director Orson Krennic from Rogue One. A figure I was definitely looking forward to. Krennic has needed a new figure for years now at this point. The only other 3 1/4 inch figure, as far as I know, he's gotten has been the 5 PUA figure, which honestly, for 5 PUA, wasn't a bad figure. It did the job, but I'm glad we have an upgrade to that old figure. And just kind of a little surprised that I was able to find this. I remember when this first came out for pre order, at least on the Canadian sites, they had him for a release date of next summer, like the summer of next year, like June or July or something like that. I think Amazon Canada still has the pre-order saying it's going to release in summer of next year, but GameStop had it released a few days ago, and I actually went into a local GameStop and they had it on the shelf, so I picked him up. So taking a look at him on the card back first, I like this card back quite a bit. It's a nice clear image of Krennic from the movie. I feel like this might be a promotional image because this is when he's on top of the comm tower or whatever that was. But I don't remember him just like standing there. So I think maybe it's just a promo image or something, or maybe it's an edited photo, or maybe it is an image from the actual movie. I can't remember. It's been a little while since I watched it, but I like it regardless. I like the blue on the background and the figure there. It looks pretty nice. Mine does have a crease on it, but I'm opening it anyways. They have gone to the new, or not new, the old style of card back that the Vintage Collection first started with. You got an image of the figure, the card back, a really brief bio that pretty much sums up the character in a nutshell. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to crack this guy open and take a closer look. Now I have Krennic out of the packaging, and it's a pretty cool figure that definitely is a lot better than any previous mainline release Krennic figure. However, he does have a couple minor issues, nothing too crazy. And also, if you've owned any of the previous figures that utilize the new officer mold, you pretty much know what to expect with this guy. He uses a majority of that new officer mold, which is perfectly fine. Hasbro knew what they were doing when they invested in making a new officer mold. They knew they could pump out tons of new characters and just by doing minor retooling and repainting. But that's perfectly fine. It's a really good mold. So, anyways, taking a closer look, I guess the main attraction would probably be, aside from upgraded articulation, being the head sculpt. I think it's pretty good. I'm not sure if it's 100% there, to be honest, but I think it's pretty close. It's close enough. The face print's pretty good. The sculpt's pretty good. I do like the hair quite a bit. On the old black series and the old 3 3/4 inch, they made his hair a lot grayer, a lot whiter, a lot grayer. When in reality, he's got mostly brown hair with just the graying hair on the sides, which is what they did with the new figure. I think it looks a lot better. Looks a lot more like he did in the movie, so that's nice. He does feature a plastic cape. It is fairly flexible. Usually I would complain and say I wish it was soft goods, but for Krennic, I actually prefer plastic. He's got a fairly unique looking cape where it has to drape over the shoulders and around his body in a very specific way. And it also has a fair amount of surface detail that you just can't capture with soft goods. And I just don't think soft goods would work very well with this figure. Sure, it will limit some posability for more action poses, but he's an Imperial officer that didn't really do a ton of action stuff in the movie anyways. He kind of stood around, aimed his gun, but didn't really do much else, which is perfectly fine. So I don't need the cape to be able to let him do all that stuff. The way it is now with the plastic, it's flexible enough. I can do most of what I want. And it looks a lot better in my opinion. And it stays on fine. It won't just fall off, as you can see. But it's easy to take off, like so. I'll keep it off for now just to go over the rest of the figure. He does have the white ISB uniform going on. I assume that the torso is reuse. It does make use of the much larger and higher ranked plaque. That does look accurate to the plaque that Krennic had. It's painted pretty cleanly. And he's got the code cylinders. I don't have another officer figure that utilizes this torso, but I feel like it probably was reused in that officer 4-pack that I don't have. Probably won't get because getting those Army Builder packs is just too expensive when you live in Canada, and Hasbro Pulse doesn't technically exist in Canada, so probably won't be getting that. But yeah, I assume that's reuse. The arms are definite reuse. The hands are reuse. And with the hands, I wouldn't care that they're reused, except for the fact that Krennic is actually supposed to be left-handed, and they just gave him the right-handed trigger hand that every other figure has, which is technically inaccurate, especially since he does have a new lower tunic waist piece with a different belt and a holster to accommodate his custom or his unique pistol. And the holster is designed to be a cross draw, so he draws it across with his left hand, but you can't get him to hold it with the left hand because it's not even like a grip hand. Basically, it's just like this kind of open, relaxed hand. And maybe if you cut a trigger finger, maybe you can get it to work, but it's still not going to be too good. So I kind of wish they would have changed up the hands for this figure to make it a bit more accurate for the character. It's not a huge deal, but I think it's worth mentioning. But the paint on that waist piece looks pretty good. He's got, like, I don't know, these canisters. I assume they're like ammo for his pistol on his belt there. That look nice. And then you just got the same pants that have been used for a number of the officers, just black with then glossy black for the boots. It looks good. In terms of articulation, all the articulation that you expect if you own this mold already, but it has dumbbell joint at the neck, so he looks up a bit. Doesn't really look down a whole lot. Only pivots a little bit. Rotation. Hinges at the shoulders move really well. Single hinge at the elbow just move 90. I do wish these elbows could had a deeper cut so you can get their hands to their face, but it's not a big deal. And then rotation at the wrist. The left hand has an in and out joint. The right trigger hand is an up and down joint. A waist joint that goes back just a bit. It crunches forward just a little bit. Doesn't really pivot too much, and it does rotate though. Hip joints, they kick forward pretty much all the way, back a bit. The lower tunic is a softer plastic and has cuts at the sides, so he can do a full split, and it doesn't really hinder any posability. Sole cut at the thigh. Single hinges at the knees that are a bit shy of 90, and then hinges at the ankles with rocker joints for pivot. So he's got pretty good articulation. I don't really need officers to have crazy articulation because most of them aren't doing crazy poses. They're not like martial arts characters for the most part, so they have pretty sufficient articulation for what they need to do. Like I said, I wish the elbow joints had a deeper cut, but that's about it. In terms of accessories, you did see the cape. I'd consider that an accessory. He also does come with his pistol. As far as I can tell, it is a new sculpt. It is different from the 5 POA pistol. It looks pretty good. It's sculpted nicely. It's cast in gray. There's a little bit of brown paint for some detailing, but it looks pretty good. Like I said, he can't really hold it in his left hand. It's just not happening. He can't hold it tightly or well, but he does hold it in the trigger finger right hand. Good. And then, like I said, it does have the holster, and it is supposed to be holstered to be a cross draw, so like that. I'm not sure if you can put it in the other way or not. You can kind of get it in there the other way if you want to, but technically it's not accurate. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty good figure. You know, it's pretty much what I expected for the most part. I do wish, you know, he had a left trigger hand, but aside from that, I'm pretty happy with it. It's definitely an upgrade. It's by far the best articulated Krennic figure out there, besides the Hot Toys, obviously. But for like domestic figures, it is the best. So I guess some comparisons real quick. First, just with some other recent figures that utilize the officer mold. Here is Moff Gideon from Return of the Jedi. And here is the also pretty recent Grand Admiral Thrawn. I actually like that Thrawn is just a smidge taller. That is nice. They all look really good together. I'm really happy they're doing all these officers. And any more they make, I'll probably buy. But yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. Here he is with the old 5 POA figure, which, like I said, honestly not a bad figure for the time, but this one's just so much better now. This one might be yellow a little bit from age. It's not quite as bright, stark white as I remember it being, but just sharper details. Obviously, the head sculpts and the face paint is night and day. The sculpt on the 5PA actually isn't bad at all. It's just the face paint looks pretty bad. But they got the pistols. The rank badge on the 5UA, they didn't paint the silver. The new one looks a lot better. The white looks a lot better on this one. The colors in general look a lot better on this one. But the 5UA one, it served its purpose in my collection, but now we can finally retire it, which is really nice. And then lastly, here he is with the Black Series. The old Black Series is the only one they've done. And yeah, you can see the new one definitely has a much better looking head sculpt and face paint. Honestly, for the time, the Krennic one, I'll say, I think is one of the better like painted faces they did way back when. I think the sculpt is definitely there. I think it's sculpted really well, but yeah, it's the paint is not aged well. I really would like them to see them do, at the very least, an archive Black Series Krennic. Repaint the head, give him a better, more accurate hair color and face print, and I think this figure would look a lot better. If they ended up ever doing that, I would definitely buy it. But right now, this is the one I'm stuck with for 6-inch, but now we have the new 3¼ inch. So overall, if you're a fan of Rogue One, a fan of collecting Imperial officers, I think this one's a no-brainer. Definitely a must-get. He is the main villain of the movie, so pretty much. So, yep, definite recommend from me. I think it's pretty cool. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the Force be with you.